mean for the Chiefs. Although they did make it back to the Super Bowl, the wide receiver group was underwhelming after Rice got hurt in week 4. From weeks 5 through 18, Chiefs wide receivers averaged the second fewest yards per reception, ranked 21st or worst in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Mina, how can they make sure they get more out of that wide receiver group to start the season without Rice, now that they know he'll be out for 6 games?
It's going to look like a lot like it did in the second half of last season, Laura. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. While they didn't get a ton of production out of the receivers, it was still an efficient offense. Chiefs used a ton of 12, 13 personnel, putting multiple tight ends on the field. I think they figured out how best to utilize Xavier Worthy, not primarily as a downfield threat, but using him more on shallow concepts against man coverage underneath, manufactured touches. To me, though, the biggest thing that they can do to improve upon what we saw at the end of last year without Rice is not really about the receivers. Also, I should mention Hollywood Brown being back at some point could help, but more about the run game. This was the least explosive rushing attack in all of football last year. Isaiah Pacheco played briefly in the preseason game against Chicago, and I thought he looked more explosive than he did last season. So I think there's hope that farther removed from the injury, maybe they can get more from him on the ground. I think, to me, if they can get more out of him, coupled with understanding how to use Worthy and then hopefully having some Hollywood Brown at some point, the offense can be, at minimum, at least as good as it was in the second half of last season.
Mina, I'm a little bit more optimistic. If you go back a year ago, they averaged 6.2 air yards per attempt, which was 29th in the league. And to me, it was all about him not being comfortable with a very suspect offensive
or
line.
that.
Yeah. Josh Simmons, to me, is going to be outcome determinative of this group, because I think he is a guy that, if he was healthy, would have been in the top 10. And if he's well protected, I think Patrick Mahomes can get the ball down the field. So as you mentioned, Xavier Worthy, if Hollywood Brown's healthy. Smith-Schuster can't run anymore, but he's really reliable. He's almost like a pass-catching tight end. So it is far from ideal until they get Rashee Rice back. But Josh Simmons, to me, really improves that offensive line, and I think that gives them a degree of explosiveness, because Mahomes will be more protected than he was a year ago.
Yeah, and everything we've heard out of Kansas City so far about Josh Simmons, the rookie left tackle, has been extremely positive. They believe he's ready to step in day one and be what they thought he would be when they drafted him. So that's good news. Xavier Worthy got a lot better as the season went along. The Chiefs felt like DeAndre Hopkins being there was a help to him, helping teach him about route running. They're in pretty good shape. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, I think they feel like he maybe came back from the injury last year a little too quickly, trying to make it for that playoff run, and he'll be better now that he's back to full health. They drafted a running back in the 7th round, Brashard Smith, who is a converted wide receiver. They have some plans for him in terms of how they plan to use him and his pass catching ability. And that's not don't blow that off. Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th round rookie who made an impact for a Super Bowl champion Chiefs team once upon a time.
Ah, it's great insight. By the way, I've got some fantasy drafts coming up. I'm keeping track of all this info. It sounds pretty good. The Chiefs have the second hardest schedule in the AFC, according.
The Chiefs are living through a wide receiver crisis that's way worse than you imagine, and 3 bombs just exploded that could completely destroy our season. While you were celebrating another championship run, one of our most promising receivers is literally walking on a tightrope. One false step, and he's gone. This young gun who caught fire in training camp and made Chiefs Kingdom dream big is now facing the brutal reality that making the roster might have been just the beginning of his nightmare. But wait, it gets worse. Remember that rookie everyone was hyping as the next big thing? The guy who was supposed to help fill that massive void while our suspended star sits on the sidelines? Man, let me tell you something that'll make your blood run cold. He might not even see the field when we need him most. And when you thought the football gods had completely abandoned the Red Sea, something incredible just fell into our laps. A proven veteran with over 4,000 career receiving yards just became available. And Chiefs Kingdom, this could be the answer to our prayers, or the move that changes our entire championship destiny. The receiver fighting for his very existence in Chiefs Kingdom is none other than Jason Brownlee. Chiefs Kingdom, let me paint the picture of what's really happening here. This undrafted warrior was signed to our practice squad during our Super Bowl run in January. Talk about perfect timing, right? And immediately caught the attention of everyone in the organization. After spending his first 2 seasons with the Jets barely getting any opportunities, Brownlee came to Kansas City hungry, desperate, and ready to prove the entire NFL made a massive mistake overlooking him. During training camp, this guy was making catches that left coaches' jaws dropping to the Missouri dirt. We're talking about plays that had beat reporters frantically typing stories about the surprise standout who came out of absolutely nowhere. Brownlee wasn't just participating in practice, he was dominating it. Every single day, he was hauling in passes that made you question everything you thought you knew about our receiver depth. And when preseason started, boom, Patrick Mahomes found Brownlee in the end zone for a touchdown that sent Chiefs Kingdom into an absolute frenzy. Sure, he only had 2 catches for 17 yards total in preseason, but it wasn't about the numbers. It was about the way he caught those passes, the routes he ran, the confidence he showed when Mahomes looked his way. But here's where this story takes a heartbreaking turn, Chiefs Kingdom. Despite all those incredible training camp performances, despite that touchdown connection with our superstar quarterback, Jason Brownlee is now staring down the barrel of a pink slip. The coaching staff kept 8 receivers on the roster, 8, which is almost unheard of in today's NFL, but they did it knowing Rashee Rice would be suspended for the first 6 games. The brutal analysis is that Brownlee is the odd man out. When Rice comes back from suspension, someone has to go, and all signs point to our training camp hero being the sacrifice. 2 years in the Jets system with only 5 catches for 56 yards is haunting him like a ghost that won't disappear. But here's what makes this situation even more cruel. Brownlee isn't just another name on paper. This is a 6 feet 3 inches, 202-pound guy who dominated college football at Southern Mississippi, racking up over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns in 3 seasons. This is the same player who helped West Point High School win the Class 5A state championship in 2017, catching 967 yards and 11 touchdowns as a senior. The irony is devastating. A guy who's always been clutch in decisive moments now faces the most decisive moment of his professional career, and it doesn't depend on his on-field abilities, but on roster politics and salary cap numbers. Connecting this dramatic situation with another even more worrying issue. If you thought Jason Brownlee's situation was bad, what I'm about to tell you about Jalen Royals is going to make you want to throw your Lucky Chiefs jersey at the wall. Our rookie receiver, the guy who was supposed to be our secret weapon while Rashee Rice serves his 6-game suspension, might not even be available when we face the Chargers in the opener. Jalen Royals, the player we were counting on to step up and fill that massive void in our offense, hasn't practiced in what feels like an eternity, and the medical reports are absolutely terrifying. Here's what's happening behind closed doors. Royals is dealing with an injury that could land him on short-term IR, which means Chiefs Kingdom could be looking at the first 6 games of the season without both Rashee Rice and our promising rookie. Can you imagine the pressure that puts on Patrick Mahomes? Our quarterback already performs weekly miracles, but now he might have to create magic with smoke and mirrors. The coaching staff knows something we don't, Chiefs Kingdom. Why else would they keep 8 receivers on the roster when teams typically carry 5 or 6? They knew Royals was dealing with this injury. They knew Rice would be suspended, and they knew Hollywood Brown can't stay healthy long enough to be reliable. This means our entire receiving core is basically Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, who's not getting any younger, and a bunch of question marks. Juju Smith-Schuster is solid, but he's not the explosive playmaker we need to stretch the field. The rest of our receiver room is filled with guys like Jason Brownlee who are fighting just to survive roster cuts. And look at the cruel math. Xavier Worthy, despite all his talent and 4.21 speed, is still a rookie trying to establish himself in a league where veterans know how to neutralize pure speed. Kelce, our constant savior, turned 35 and is dealing with the natural wear of a decade catching passes over the middle against 250-pound linebackers who want to take his head off. The scary reality is we're looking at a nightmare scenario. Rice suspended, Royals injured, Brown unreliable, and Kelce facing another year with Father Time knocking at his door. Mahomes and Andy Reid have pulled off miracles before, but this might be asking too much even from the greatest quarterback-coach combination in Chiefs history. But Chiefs Kingdom, just when you think we're completely screwed, just when you think this season might be over before it starts, something incredible just fell into our laps that could change everything. Hold on to your seats because the football gods just answered our prayers. Kendrick Bourne, a proven NFL veteran with over 4,000 yards, just got released by the New England Patriots, and he's sitting there like a perfectly wrapped present waiting for Brett Veach to unwrap him. This isn't some unproven rookie or training camp wonder. This is a battle-tested receiver who's spent 8 years in this league catching passes from elite quarterbacks. Bourne has caught 68% of his career targets for over 4,000 yards and 22 touchdowns. He spent 4 years in San Francisco catching passes in Kyle Shanahan's system, then 4 years in New England, proving he can adapt to any offense. His route running ability is exactly what we need to replace Rashee Rice's skill set during that 6-game suspension. Here's the beautiful part, Chiefs Kingdom. The Patriots couldn't find anyone willing to trade for Bourne, so they had to release him outright. That means we don't have to give up any draft capital to get our hands on a receiver who could be the missing piece to our championship puzzle. But here's where this gets absolutely insane. While Jason Brownlee is fighting for his roster spot and Jalen Royals is battling injuries, Kendrick Bourne could walk into Arrowhead Stadium and immediately become our WR2 behind Xavier Worthy. This guy knows how to get open, he knows how to catch contested passes, and most importantly, he knows how to perform when the lights are brightest. The strategic analysis is crystal clear. Instead of gambling on Brownlee or praying that Royals can overcome his injury concerns, we could have a legitimate NFL veteran ready to contribute from day one. Think about Patrick Mahomes having a reliable, proven veteran like Bourne to throw to while our other receivers get healthy and find their rhythm. But here's the twist that makes everything even more intriguing. Bourne isn't just any veteran. This is a guy who's already played in two of the most complex and innovative offensive systems in the NFL, Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco and the Patriots system. He knows how to adapt, how to find the soft spots in coverages, and how to be clutch when the pressure is at maximum. More importantly, Bourne has proven playoff performance history, including that historic Patriots run in 2021 when he was a fundamental piece in an offense that scored over 450 points in the season. The question now is whether Brett Veach has the courage to make this move. Do we stick with Jason Brownlee and hope his training camp magic translates to regular season success? Do we wait for Jalen Royals to get healthy, or do we grab Kendrick Bourne and give Mahomes another proven weapon for our championship run? Chiefs Kingdom, this decision could determine whether we're hoisting another Lombardi trophy in February or watching someone else celebrate. The next 48 hours could reshape our entire season. The naked truth is that the moves Brett Veach makes in the next few days will tell us everything we need to know about our championship aspirations. With Bourne available on the market as a free agent, he represents an immediate solution to our depth problems. He has experience playing in complex offensive systems, knows the pressure of big games, and most importantly, is available now when we need him most. While Brownlee and Royals represent potential and future, Bourne represents immediate production and proven reliability. The timing of this entire situation couldn't be more perfect for us, but also more cruel to our young talents who are fighting for opportunities. It's the brutal nature of the NFL. Emerging talents can be overshadowed by immediate needs and available veterans. But at the end of the day, our priority has to be giving Patrick Mahomes the best possible tools for another historic title run. And here's where the complexity of this entire situation really reveals itself. We're not just talking about adding another receiver to the roster. We're talking about balancing long-term development versus immediate championship needs. Brownlee represents the future. Young, hungry, with enormous upside but unproven. Royals is present and future combined. Draft pick talent with potential to be a key piece for years, but currently unavailable when we need him most. Bourne is the now, immediate experience, proven knowledge, but perhaps just a temporary solution. What makes this decision even more complicated is the salary cap implications. Bourne, as a veteran, will cost more than keeping Brownlee or waiting for Royals to get healthy. But how much is that peace of mind worth to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? How much is it worth knowing you have a guy who already knows how to read NFL defenses, how to adjust routes in real time, and how to perform in January when everything is on the line? Chiefs Kingdom, this isn't just a roster decision, it's a statement about our true championship intentions for 2024.